Okay, you guys, I think what happened is I was jinxed, okay? I don't know, maybe somebody put some bad energy out there or something. I don't know. Maybe it's my own energy, I don't know. But it seems to be some sort of conspiracy, and I'm not usually a conspiracy theorist. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not just like, oh, the sky is falling, or the government's gonna put computer chips inside of us. But I don't know what it is, but there's something that is resisting me from going live. And I thought, hey, that would be really cool. I could go on TikTok, right? Right? I haven't been on TikTok in like 2 years. Okay, 2 years. It was eating away at my brain. It was destroying my creativity and my focus. So my attention span was really limited, but it was good for what it was. But it is now a closed chapter in my life. And so I went there, and apparently they don't support Facebook anymore. So and that's what I signed in as. So Facebook is not only, I guess, is the old unreliable platform now. So like Instagram is just so much safer, right? No, it's not. So I thought, okay, let's go to Instagram. And I think, yeah, I could do it live. And then I just see all these people that I've known in my past, that I've known, some are family, some are friends, but a lot of them have not, we keep in contact in, like, on an acquaintance level. It's very impersonal. We don't get together, we don't see each other, so it's kind of a fake friendship, and some of them have not been filled in about my conversion to witchery, some of these people, and the same thing with my old Facebook account. I can't do that either. And then I tried to make a new Facebook account, and the same thing happened where I could not go live. There is, I do believe that this is a glitch. It's not anything to do with my devices. But hopefully I'm going to be able to use Masquerade Enchantress in the future. I had to do Masquerade because Phantom Enchantress had apparently been taken. How dare they? But yeah, that's pretty much what was going on right there. So, I'm not quite sure, but yeah. So there just seems to be, like, a problem, with, I can't seem to see, I don't know what's going on. Wow. Something is going on with my phone, I think. I don't know what it is, but it's awesome. Yeah, I'm just getting a black screen. That's great. Just a black screen. That's all. Am I just an odd? I guess I'm just darkness. I'm just darkness. I don't exist. I'm just pure black. I'm a black hole. A black hole sun, apparently, according to my phone. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, technical difficulties. But at least we have access to Facebook, right? I'm just gonna say, I hate freaking social media. I hate it. I hate it because it makes itself to the point where you don't have an option. You have to use it. And you have to, but the reason I stick around on social media is because there are people that I care about, and people that I love that are near and dear to my heart, and I want to support them, and I want to, there are other witches and other people who are going on their journeys that also need my guidance, and I have been really enjoying doing readings for people on Facebook. It's been, there was a couple of days where it was just back to back. I just kept, it was like every other day. I was doing a reading and giving a reading for someone and contacting a dead loved one somewhere, and it was a really neat experience, especially when this is the time of my life that I'm not really doing much. I'm not getting out much because it's cold. It's high of 37 yesterday. And yeah, you don't, as nice as that would sound, walking to, you know, walking around as much as I like to walk around town, I can't do that right now. So I have a lot of time to dedicate to Facebook and the people that are seeking help. But the thing is, I'm having a little bit of difficulty. And as I said before, I started a new Instagram account because it's actually the best. I've been on a lot of streaming apps. Twitch is probably number one. You know, that's a good one. But I think what it came down to is Instagram. Instagram is really like, you can do a lot with it. And you know, TikTok was really good. That was streaming. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing at that time in my life, but I kind of do now. So you know, by the time I got to you know, being an admin, I had already had an experience. I had already had experiences on every kind of platform. Live Me. I did a lot of these things, and yeah. Oh, there I am. Yay! It's just a glitch. I'm not darkness. Apparently I exist. Okay, good. Fantastic. I have to put that down. I know that seems primitive, but I need to be able to see the chat, and sometimes the chat is not always available. Sometimes, yeah, what I've noticed is it'll say that there are people here on the phone, but when it comes to the side chat here, yeah, doesn't do so well. I don't know why. But besides that, yeah, if you know anything about jinxes, please let me know, because I think technology has a jinx on me. I don't know what happened. I think it's just a coincidence. I think it's just a series of things. I mean, people always, you know, when they see things that happen in succession, like one after the other, we don't know how to explain it. We automatically go to, is there something, you know, supernatural? Is there some sort of phenomenon, an anomaly, something that science can't measure or prove? And I think we need to take a logical approach, which would probably be, technology just sucks and it's not working properly, and my phone is probably a little bit buggy on top of it. So but yeah, kind of what was kind of a check-in, a mental check-in. We need a mental check-in, don't we? So a mental check-in would be, I've been trying to be mentally okay. Like, I've been trying to. I try. I mean, I more than try. I do my best to be mentally okay. And so recently, you know, there was this guy. I don't need to give him a name, okay? Just, you know, you can call him whatever you want. Whatever you want. He's Rando. He's Mr. Rando, okay? Mr. Rando. It's not his name. He's somebody that I have met. I have spent time with. It's in a group setting. We work together, you know. It's a volunteer thing. It's not like we work and get money. It's more of like, we get together, and we put on theater productions and such. So, you know, he's one of the backstage guys. That's probably a little too much information, for sure. But he probably isn't watching this, so it's fine. But yeah, fun-loving guy, Mr. Rando. Love his company, love his jokes. He's a little bit psycho. I knew that, and so it seems like consistently every day I am getting off of a Facebook group because it has either gotten too political or it's gotten too religious. And I am no longer a religious person, okay? I do not follow a religion. I am the religion, okay? I am my own religion. I am my own temple. I can do it by myself. And I can tell you, the moment I stepped away from church, the moment I started doing the things that I had always longed to do, but Christianity had told me I couldn't, I started to have a better understanding of who God was. And I started to get closer to God in a way that I had never been before. I had never had before. And it kind of happened when somebody turned me on to Reiki. And that's how it happened. So, and then that opened up doors to the spiritual realm, so to speak. But Mr. Rando, we're going back to Mr. Rando. So I got off this Facebook account, well, not Facebook account, but this Facebook group, because it had this very religious thing out there. It was like a mandatory statement, and I don't like mandatory statements. Maybe it's because I have used absolutes in the past, but it was just it felt wrong to me. Like every part of my being was standing up. Like the hairs on my arm were saying, cut this shit out, this is not where you need to be. So I left the group, and this is why. They had said, you make your children go to school and etc. You should make your children go to church and make them read the Bible so that their souls may be saved. I was like, probably about 8 to 10 years ago, that might have been a powerful message, and I probably would have given it a thumbs up. But I'm not that person anymore, so I was kind of put off by it. I wasn't like offended. I was just like, ew, I just was like, I don't want to touch that. So I made a post about it. I don't know why I made a post about another post, but I did. And I said, I'm getting really tired of this absolute attitude that it's all or nothing. You either believe in God or you're a horrible person. You either vote for this person or you're immoral, and like they measure about. Why do we live in a world where we measure people by their choices, their identity that they choose, and the things that they believe? Because a person isn't just a sexuality, isn't just a belief or a religion. A person is much more complex and has very many different layers to them. Humans are like ogres, they're like onions. They have layers, okay? I totally screwed up that joke, sorry. But it's very frustrating to me because I want to get away from that extremist. I don't want to touch politics because politics is not interesting to me. I do not have a political opinion. If you come onto my chat and you're gonna start talking about Trump and Kamala and all these other people, it is Greek to me. It means absolutely nothing to me. It is like somebody, it's like a calculus nerd decided to explain to me why a tesseract is funny. I don't know what that means. I don't even know if a tesseract exists or not. And they, and I don't know, I'm not a number person. So that's kind of like that. It's like telling some random person about something that really just means nothing to me. And I've had people don't understand what it is to be neutral. It's because I don't feel like taking sides. I am not interested in politics whatsoever. I really don't give a shit. I don't. Because to me, it's just idol worship to me. You know, it's just expecting one person to you know, somehow ascend out of the crowd, the masses, and heal everybody. And I'm sorry, but politicians are the scum of the earth, okay? I have never seen a politician that was actually good. And what's really stupid is it's like, okay, it's a person. What are they going to do? How are they going to change our lives? Like, that's a lot. How many people have come up to you and said, I want you to change my life? That's a lot. That's a tall order. And we have how many people in the United States that they have to worry about? Yeah, I'm not really interested in all of that. So, but it's constantly on Facebook. It's just all the time, every time. And I just said, I think it's disgusting that you would force a child to do something outside of obviously discipline, school, and medical. So things that are a necessity, things that require them to get out of the house, you know. But you make it an option, I would think. And so Mr. Rando came into the chat and was like, this post disturbs me. And I'm like, this is one of the reasons I inhale like this every time I look at notifications, because I dread that that some troll is going to come into the chat. Now I know what to do, but there's that anticipation, that dread, that apprehension that I have, that I know I'm going to have to kick someone's ass. I know I'm going to have to block somebody. I know I'm going to have to decompartmentalize and figure out, is this worth... there's so many things that go into my head when I think about what do I do. Now, I am blessed to have a lot of positivity when it comes to Facebook. Because I know what to do, and I know not to get involved with anything that has to do with, obviously, anything political or anything religious. But this is my own page, okay? I shouldn't have to feel guilty in my own page. That's like feeling guilty in your own home. Like, you shouldn't have that, especially when you're doing all the right things. And so he was just like, this is disturbing, and he took one single sentence out of my paragraph and said, I made it an option for my kids to go to church, and it was longer than my comment. It was like 2 paragraphs, and he just went on, and I was like, do you get it? I think you've missed the point. This was not about, I wasn't saying that you were a bad parent. I don't have kids, so whatever you did, fine. I've met your kids, okay, and they're amazing people. So that's not the issue. You're not the issue. And I like to set it up. This is what he did. So when you get someone's comment, if someone has a paragraph and you take the middle out, it's gonna look funny, because there's no beginning and there's no end. It's just the middle. It's just, you know, it's like getting the title out of a long ass movie. Like, what if I said flu? What would you think? What you, and somebody, you know, let's say this is a game show and they're saying, okay, I say flu. What's the name of the movie? Well, you might be sitting there scratching your head. That's kind of the point there, but it's kind of like somebody got an ice cream sandwich and took both ends off, and then got this this congealed mess. You might as well have just gotten a gallon of ice cream at this point, because this doesn't make sense. This is just goo. This is just not making sense, because there is no context. Have you ever seen those Star Trek no context stuff? It's hilarious, because it doesn't make sense, because there's no you don't know what the episode it is, and then you probably don't remember the episode, so it's just like this random stuff where someone says pepperoni, you know, and it's just like very weird. But that's what people are doing on the internet. They just they see a word, and they think that they see something because they skim over it so fucking fast, and they're like, and then they get this little tiny sentence, the only sentence that they could probably comprehend, and they take that and they say, oh, this is offensive, I don't even know what this is, but it's offensive. Oh, it's very tiny, it's only a few words long, but still it's very offensive. And I'm just like, okay, if you find something that's offensive, do you know what happens to your body when you get stressed? There's a actual hormone, and it's called cortisol. Cortisol, it's not cortisone. I know it sounds familiar, but it's cortisol. Cortisol with an O-L at the end. It's like cortisone, but with an O-L. So, and no N-E. So, that was the thing, so when you're sitting there scrolling through TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, whatever social media you feel like escaping to, when you're doing that, and you come across something that makes you, and you get so angry, so frustrated, what you are doing is you're putting your body through can you imagine, have you ever been in a situation where you had to run for your life, or you had to hide, or there was just something very scary in your life and you're trying to get out of that situation, you're in that flight or fight mode, you're putting your brain into that mode. You're making it think that it needs to be heightened. It needs to be ready to fight that cocaine bear. You're sitting on your ass on Facebook. You don't need to be outrunning a bear at this point. But your body starts producing the cortisol as if you are running from the cocaine bear. That's why so many people don't lose weight because they're counting the calories and they're doing all of the exercises. Oh, they're exercising all the time, and they gain more weight. It's because of stress. It's because they are using stress as a motivator to get them going. And that's why, yeah, they'll lose weight. Sure, they will. They might lose it really, really fast, but guess what? It's going to come back. That weight's going to probably come back, and it's going to double itself. Because when you lose weight really, really quickly, your body just goes into this panic mode. Like, what the fuck have you done? We need to store fat and more of it because you lost a lot. Are you okay? You're right. So they do that, and so many people try, and not everybody is sensitive to cortisol. Some people can have cortisol all the time, but it is not healthy. It actually, it probably in the long run of things, it can cause sleeplessness, it can cause depression, it can cause you to crave things that you don't normally, so like junk food, some sort of things. You're not going to have a lot of energy because cortisol is depleting your energy because it's putting you into that heightened state. It's getting you to go. Let's go. We're on a race, and we gotta go. And obviously there's adrenaline that should be with this. Adrenaline and dopamine should kind of be with this. If it had adrenaline and dopamine and you were working out, maybe it might balance itself out. I don't know. I'm not a medical professional. I don't know everything about the body, but kind of what's going to happen with that is when you don't have those other hormones and you just have, guess what? When you have no bear and no situation in which you need to escape and you're just sitting on your ass looking at your phone, you just have stress. And stress in its purest form is just like pure white. You can't look at it. You can't look away from it. You can't exactly work with it. There is no pure white, actually. Apparently, I didn't know, but yeah, it's just yeah, it's unfortunate that people will do that to themselves. There are some people that think, oh yeah, it's just, they do, you think of people just doing it casually, being trolls, and being, oh, I think I'm going to destroy somebody's life, you just do that, whatever. But there are actual people that will look at their phones and be like, and they will be so mad that they have to say something. But this is what's really going on. What's really going on is when you have stagnant energy, and this is actually Carl Jung, who is a psychologist. He's one of the fathers of psychology, who has contributed very much, not only to the psychological community, the psychology community, but also to the witchcraft and magic practitioner community. So the magic community. And it's called shadow work, which is known as you looking at your triggers, finding out why you're triggered, and then figuring out how can we prevent that from happening. That's why a lot of witches do tarot, because tarot is very much it's very much almost like journaling, because it's not showing you the future, it's not showing you the beyond, it's showing you this is your life, this is your story, and this is what you're probably going to make of it, and this is the problems that are going on. And sometimes, only once have I had a reading from someone, or a reading that outside of my home, that was incorrect, and I'm still puzzled by it. And there's rogue cards, and sometimes when your energy isn't right, or you're not focused, or there's a conflicting energy, or there's a lot of things in play when you do tarot. And sometimes tarot doesn't always reveal everything. They're cards, okay? It's just like a Ouija board. It's an object. It's not going to be magical the moment you take it out of the box, okay? Whether it's used, pre-used, or it has never been used before, it's going to have to adjust to your energy, and you're going to have to learn, learn how to use it. It's like a tool. You got to get the feel for it. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes, just like a muscle. But a lot of people don't understand but the shadow work is really important, because we do this naturally. Our mind does this naturally, where we reflect on the things that have happened to us, and we figure out why. And when we're adults, we kind of figure out why things were the way they were when we were kids, or we're figuring out, oh yeah, this is a trigger that I developed when I was 12, or this is something that I never was honest about. But the main thing with shadow work is when you have stagnant energy, it comes out in different ways. And often Facebook is that place where that anger gets, you will, I have seen that. There was this woman, she was a woman at church, and she sent me one of those those texts like, send this to 15 friends and an angel will bless you. And I was like, I was like this good little Christian girl at the time, and I was like, I'm really, thank you so much, but I don't really believe in that kind of thing. I hope God blesses you. And I was just really sweet. And she just texted me in capital letters saying, how dare you, I come to you in friendship and you do this. And then she blocked me, and I was just like, and then the next day, I don't know if it's the next day, but we'll say it's the next day, I meet her at church, and she's just like, hi, and I'm like, hi, you've got mental problems. That's weird. And I almost was nervous to be around her, because she exploded like that. And when people explode like that, it kind of takes me back. It shakes me up. It really does. I'll inwardly kind of look at it and go, why did you do this? What is it? It just feels like somebody decided to just throw an arrow at me randomly. like for no reason. It's like, why are you shooting at? It's just like some random person shooting a bow and arrow at me. I'm just like, why? Why? I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't doing anything to you. I was just existing. I'm sorry if that's inconvenience for you, but I have to breathe and exist in order to function. I'll let you know if that changes at any time. So yeah, it was a little bit, but it really did shake me up a little bit, this whole thing about it really did. It put fire under my ass, like, and I'm just going, where did that come from? Who put the flamethrower down there? It's getting hot in here and I don't like it. Because it's just like and it was weird. It was bizarre. And then sometime later, around midnight, a friend of mine, who's also part of this theater group, came on and said, you posted and said that, someone unfriended you, and, was that Mr. Rando? And he says, yes. I said, yes, it's Mr. Rando. Just want to let you know, you didn't do anything wrong. He's got some issues, and he does this, and he will just randomly blow up. And I was like, I just hope it doesn't ruin our working relationship that we have. And she's like, no, he'll be fine once you see him again. He'll be fine. I was like, I'm like, because unfortunately, let's just say in the place that I live right now, Facebook is very central. Like, that is, it's very central. It's where the business is. It's how you get the dirt on everyone else. And there's nothing secretive, because once it's on Facebook, and Facebook has kind of destroyed the many communities, including mine, because there are no secrets, and immediately you can see what people are doing, and that makes me very nervous, because that's why on Facebook and Instagram, on those accounts, there are so many people from my past, so many people that I know love God, I believe that they have a very genuine love for God. I can feel that being around them, but I don't think they quite understand what witchcraft is all about. They don't really understand it. They know it as something negative because it's shown in a negative way. It's shown as being harmful and dangerous, when in actuality, witchcraft is really just what it just kind of blows my mind, is that people will sit there and they will be like, they'll just sit there and be like, no, these are my rituals, and the candles and the smoke and the incantations, I mean prayers, they're not incantations, those are evil, and all of these and all of that, and then there's just some pagan out there going, I literally just used that. Why are you using it? In what world and in what scenario, in what universe, does somebody take something from someone else and say, copy it with some minor deviations and say, okay, this is better than yours? Bitch, we've been using that for 5,000 years. Okay, it's nothing new. Okay, really all it is just regurgitated pagan rituals that have been passed on. The first person so Catholicism, if you don't know, started with Emperor Constantine. Emperor Constantine was the first person that created the concept of the popery. Not potpourri, popery. The Pope. That guy that looks like a plumber that says, bless you. Yes, that guy. The guy that nobody really cares about um, yeah, it never sat well with me. I was just like, I'm weird. That's weird. That's weird. um, it's just like another person trying to play God yet again. And even when I was a Christian, I didn't really. No, I wasn't into that. Catholicism stuff, but I do know a lot about Catholicism. And it was, when I was a conservative Christian, it was told to me, a lot of the history was told to me, and I found it very fascinating at the time. So everybody was pretty much just, this is my theory, and it may be very close to what really happened, and it was my theory that people used to frolic in the forest, whisper at the moon, commune with spirits, talk to animals, and did all these wondrous things, and they communed with nature. They healed people. They had a community, and there wasn't a currency. There wasn't anybody telling anybody, hey, you can't do that, or you can't worship that, because everybody had their own spirituality, they were own individuality. They chose things in nature to connect with, and they found God in everything. Essentially, that's why they would talk to the trees and whisper to the moon, because to them that was God. And nobody thought it was any different, because everybody else was doing it. It was natural. People didn't have to go into the woods and hide to do, or go to the cemetery at midnight to hide from people. It was just open. Everyone was open. Hey, what do you believe? Oh, I believe this rock is God. Okay, well, I think the sun is. That's cool. Yeah, so they just kind of walked around and built altars, maybe. Maybe they piled the rocks up, which we have seen in many places, and they talked to the fae, they talked to the elementals, they talked to all sorts of things. Maybe they even befriended a few demons, I don't know. They were magical. And then Catholicism came in, and they kind of, it's like they rebranded it. And they took these pagan, Wiccan, magical things, where, obviously, and they put them into an organized system. Literally kind of a cult, because religion wasn't a thing yet. So, and they said, okay, my system is better. My rituals are better. And if you don't follow the parameters of this system that I have made, then you're going to die. And so many people had to hide. They had to go into the woods. They had to run for the hills. It was a very terrifying time. Not only for that, there were gypsies, there were immigrants, there were obviously Jews that had to escape, because Catholics and such, they like to kill Jewish people. It's great. Yeah, it's not the first time they've been persecuted. So it was a time of major persecution, and not only for it was not just a war of belief, it was a war of individuality. It was a war of who has the say to what we believe. And essentially Catholicism came about, and they got to the point where they said, we have control of your souls. We have control of where your souls go. Fuck no, you don't. But when you're poor and you're not really well educated and you don't know anything outside of your little town, you're going to trust the Catholic magistrate that lives in your town. You're going to probably say, oh, okay, then I'll follow through. I'll give you whatever you want. Just please don't doom my soul to hell for all eternity. So it was very much brainwashed. It was put into their society. It was incorporated, and anybody that thought outside of that was considered a divergent. somebody that was dangerous. Were these people dangerous? Were they necessarily witches? No. No. The same thing with the Salem witch trials. That wasn't about witches. No. That was about land. That was about greed and lust. There were no actual witches. There was only one witch that was burned in all of Salem. That was actually recorded. The rest were hanged. And it was usually to, they wanted land, or they wanted to persuade someone to give them something. And what would you do? Well, yeah, you kill off a few family members, Hey, Mary's always been a little bit strange, so, this is a convenient time. And she's his only daughter, so, you know what, I'll just put her on trial. Well, yeah, but she's not going to admit to being a witch, is she? Well, no, but once I choke her enough, she'll probably admit to anything. Yeah, that's a good plan. Okay, yeah, then we'll go with that. So women were essentially tortured, and during the Salem witch trials, and it was a horrible time. Fortunately, the Puritan era was dwindled very quickly, because it was so restrictive, because it was a literal cult, satanic panic cult. Everything was satanic. It was beyond Catholicism at that point, because it was just so Salem really doesn't have a lot to do with witchcraft as much as they think it does, but I'm glad that they are more accepting, and that they have witchy shops over there. I just wish we lived in a world where we didn't get measured, the amount of respect and love wasn't measured on our belief and and what we choose to identify as. Because really, to me, I don't care if you choose to be a man, woman, non-binary. I don't really care if you choose to be now unless you're doing something that's really, really horrible, like you're gonna end up hurting someone or yourself, and you're actually going to do it. I'm not going to say anything, and I might get uncomfortable with some of the choices that are made, but I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. Yes, it's uncomfortable when someone says, "Hi, I'm a Satanist. Please don't hex me. I love you. Jesus loves you too. Bye." And I have met very few Luciferian witches. When I was first introduced to witchcraft, actually what happened was, funny thing, I said, so, do you, believe in Satan? And they're like, no, we don't even believe in Satan. I was just like, and I was very angry. I was spiraling down with anger, because I realized what a lot of what had been told to me when I was a conservative Christian was misconstrued. It was edited and snipped down to where it was acceptable for whatever it was. Yeah, so it's kind of so I was a little bit angry about that, and I realized that witches are really just people that want to worship in the way that they see fit. It's not necessarily one thing. Some people will call themselves Wiccan, some will call themselves pagan, some people will call themselves Christians, others will come forward and say, you know what, I like the Nord gods, or I like one god, or I like this really weird god that brings rain, it's all about that. It's all about, hey, I want to worship the way that I want to worship, and that there's nothing wrong with that. We are given free will for a reason, and we are able to choose. And unfortunately, religion sometimes does this is it will say, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't believe in that because, well, it doesn't say in the Bible, but according to my rules that I just made up, that's wrong. Let me prove it to you. No, please don't. Please don't. I don't need to know why your belief is more important than mine. And I think really what comes down to, as I said, I love Christians. I used to be one. And I find something to love or fall in love with in everyone. I find something that I can fall in love with. But what really gets me is anyway, what kind of gets me is, I think people get mixed up. Sometimes when you're passionate about something and you have a cause and it just burns in your chest and you just have to let it out, and it comes out aggressively. And sometimes it may be their ego, but other times I think it really is stagnant anger, stagnant depression, maybe some things that they didn't sort out. And anything that you haven't processed yet, it can come out as anger. It can come out if you have stagnant energy in anything. That's why they say depression is actually, they say that depression actually might be just stagnant anger that's just been congealing in your brain. I don't know for sure. That's just kind of a theory. But they say that there's a lot of anger behind depression, and that might be the reason. But it also might just be a conglomeration of things. Maybe it was supposed to be natural. I believe that depression did have a role originally, but I think people get their faith and their belief mixed up with anger. And I have done this myself. I have been so passionate and so swept away by that passion that I didn't realize what I sounded like. I didn't realize how preachy and how judgmental and horrible I sounded. I didn't realize that, and I don't think these people realize it either. I think they get triggered and they don't know why it triggers them, but it does, and it just gets them, and they blow up. And I have seen people hurt Christians that I loved, that I spent a lot of time with, and they just would go off on people. And I saw so many people leave that church because of that aggressive preaching that was going on. And the thing is, I was part of a church that wasn't really heavily involved with that kind of stuff, but they were preachy because they were conservative, they're very conservative. So I just was like, how can you do this? You're not realizing that there are feelings involved. This isn't a business transaction, okay? You're not trying to sell something. This is a spirituality that you're trying to share with someone. How many times have you tried, have you shared, I'm just wondering, how many times have you shared something with someone and said, hey, you know what, I want to share this little bit about how much I love Star Trek. I love Star Trek! Do you see how scary that is? That's scary. Yeah, that could be me feeling really good about Star Trek. That might feel really good but I'm not going to explode like that because it looks like I'm a frickin' psycho, which I very well might be, but still, I don't want to show my psycho that soon when I first meet someone. But that is the equivalent of what Christians do when they try to share Christ. I'm not saying all of them do. But I always knew in my heart and in my soul when people said, what are you doing warming up the pews? You're supposed to be going out there to preaching the gospel. I was like, I don't think that's my job. It's everybody's job. I beg to differ, dude. I don't think so. You don't know me. And it was just weird. It was just bizarre because it's just like they think, and it's just this ultimatum, this absolute that you all have to do it. But then I turn around and I see these women, these 98-pound women that are like, I don't ever talk to anybody that isn't of the same denomination, And I'm like, and I wouldn't go to see that speaker because, well, they're not one of us, are they? So it gets to the point where they're not even talking to other Christians, and they're just talking to their kind of Christian. I don't know. If Christ told us to preach the gospel, I think you did not understand the assignment. You must only talk to like-minded people. Only, or the people that go to your church, or the people that look kind of lost at the bus station. Okay, that's cool. I saw little things where people were trying to preach the gospel, but I put my foot down. Because I knew in my heart, and I don't know how I knew it, but I knew instinctively that I was not supposed to do that. Because I was sensitive. I understood that people have feelings, and sometimes they have very strong feelings about Christianity, and I only gave information unless it was asked. I only talked about my belief unless someone said, hey, what's this? What do you think about that? And he says, well, I don't know what you believe, and that's what I always would start, but I believe this. And it was a good conversation starter, and it was really interesting because you got to see what they believed, and they would take in account what you were saying. And it was wonderful because you actually got to talk to the person rather than, Jesus! You need Jesus! I'm like, I don't think I don't think I do. Thank you. I think I'm gonna go now. I'm sorry. You seem to be having a party and I wasn't invited, and I'm really glad. So, that's not, I'm gonna go now. So yeah, it's a put off. And so now, I think I just want to spread awareness. I want to spread awareness and realize, and I saw this woman on Instagram saying, this is the truth about witchcraft. And she was from like Nigeria or something. It's good for what it is, but then your family gets involved. Oh no, the family gets involved. Oh no, the family's, oh no. Wait, is that bad? According to Harry Potter, that's not bad. If everybody's practicing magic in the house, that's actually a good thing because everybody's on the same page, right? I mean, yeah, your mom could be a kitchen witch, your uncle could be a warlock, and then, your aunt could be some sort of green witch. You could do that. It could work. I mean, that would be great because you'd have your whole support. You'd have your whole family. Why is that such a bad thing? Oh, you mean the possession, oh, yeah, possession, that thing that everybody thinks happens all the time. It doesn't. Yeah, some people get the witchcraft involved with, demons. Witchcraft demons, yeah. Okay, the only reason they do that is because the pentagram, air, earth, water, fire, and spirit, that was a symbol of peace. Now, in 1969, Elias Levi started the Church of Satan, and they adopted that symbol, and we don't have any, the witches, me included, don't really have any association with that, but that is the only ties that I can find. And then, of course, there's some witches that like Aleister Crowley. I don't. I'm not really into Satanism, thank you. And he was kind of a branch off of Satanism. Don't really not really interested. I think I know enough about him to last a while, okay? Because very dark individual. And it's not interesting to me, so I'm just like, okay, I'm not interested. That's enough for me. So, some people jump to that conclusion, that that's what that is. Witchcraft is not something that is like a double-edged sword, where you're going to throw a knife and it's going to come back and hit you in the head. That, you don't understand. Some of us don't even do candles. I don't even do candle work. Do you realize that? I don't even do candle work. I literally, every time I look at a book and it says, okay, I want to look for a spell I can do, it like tells me, okay, you need 1 dodo feather, a teaspoon of unicorn dust, and a little bit of newt perspiration. Yeah, that's what you need. And then just a black candle. And you should be good to go. I'm like, where the fuck am I gonna find those things? That's really specific. Like, oh yeah, just get a dodo bird. Okay. Somehow I'm gonna visit the astral plane and I'm gonna bring back a dodo bird, okay? I don't know how that works, but okay, I'll maybe I'll make one. I'll make a dodo bird. Yes! Haha! I don't know how to do that. So, yeah, everybody, like, assumes, like, it's this mystic thing, when really, it's just rituals. It's all it is. There's really nothing. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but it's very much like prayer. You pray to whatever higher power that you identify with. It doesn't have to be Satan or doesn't have to be, anything satanic, or it doesn't even have to be a demon. It could just be, Eris or Demeter or Persephone. And I've connected with Baphomet. I have spoken with him. I've spoken to Eris. I have contacted many spirits that were supposed to be gods. And you definitely feel, like, when I was with these entities, I definitely felt like John did in Revelation. I felt like I need to get on my knees, because the power is just amazing. It's incredible. But then, just the humility that these entities presented themselves to me was just amazing. Like, they were just like, you don't understand. Like, Baphomet was trying to tell me. He was like, okay, I gave out visions to several of the humans, and I don't know, the only one that wrote it down was Elias Levi, who created the abomination of a church called the Church of Satan. He misinterpreted that. I don't know how. And so now Baphomet is kind of their adopted deity. And other than that, Baphomet is actually a very benevolent being. He was worshipped at one time. There's not really a lot of recordings of it, because for whatever reason, I guess nobody had a pen and paper maybe at that time. Well, they didn't have pens. They didn't have probably recording tools to write this down and say, "Dear diary, I worshipped Baphomet today, and it was a marvelous experience. Dear, I shall send money when the morning comes, and I shall send a postcard when I have found work." It's one of those things. I don't know. But yeah, there wasn't anybody that was writing at this time to record what Baphomet was about. But I do know that much. Like, I know enough about the Church of Satan, which is kind of creepy. I know enough, okay? I don't want to know anymore. But according to them, they believe in the pursuit of knowledge. and they believe that knowledge is important, that it should be passed on to your family. That's why books are very important within the Church of Satan. Like, it's very, because Baphomet is literally, he is neither male nor female. He has both genders. So technically he's like a, I don't know what that, there's a word for that, but it means that you have both genders. And there are people that are born like that. But he is both characteristic of both male and female. He is supposed to be, he is the one that says, as above, so below. I've had Ouija boards that have had that on there, and I smile because it's, yeah, because Baphomet's a buddy of mine. He's a buddy of mine. And so, it means, like, he is, like, if Baphomet ever connects with you or reaches you in a dream, don't be alarmed. It's not satanic. It's probably meaning that you are both in tune with both the dark and the light. And dark is not necessarily bad within magic. Black magic, on the other hand, is where you do the cursing and the hexing. Dark magic is where you explore things that are a little bit on the dark spectrum. It's not necessarily bad. It's not evil, because darkness is very much a part of, it's part of nature. For instance, when we have, that's why there's no pure white, because there's always shadows. There's shadows. Shadows, we have our own shadow. There is night and day, and it's very, I think it's very narrow-minded for people to go and say, well, Satan rules the darkness, and I'm like, the fuck he doesn't? Who invented, okay, if you believe that there's a God and that there was a creation, who created darkness? God. Yeah. So you shouldn't be fearing. If you have if you have faith that there's a higher power out there, then there's probably something greater than Satan out there. And no, I don't worship Satan. I don't want anything to do with Satan. In fact, I don't even associate with Luciferian demons for a reason, because I do not want to let that into my home. I don't. I mean, if you want to commune with Satan, sure, do it on your own time. You know, it's good for you, more power to you, somehow, I don't know. I just don't want, I'm very much against, Satanism, but I do not protest it to the point where I'm trying to tell people that it's wrong. What you do at home and who you worship is entirely, that's like your sexuality, okay? I don't need to know about it. I don't need to know. I don't need to know what positions you were in, or what devices you used, or what bed sheets you had, or who it was, or how many moles that person had. I don't need to know, you know? That's the kind of thing. But with social media, it's just like, oh, yay, I had sex. And I'm like, I really wish that we lived in a day and age where things were actually sacred, because really, to be honest, your sexuality does not, your sexuality is only part of your life. Your belief is only part of your life. It is not who you are as a whole. It is a part of you. And I don't think we should be judged by just this little tiny chunk of us. That is just not, that is illogical, as Spock would say. It is illogical. Very illogical, because it's just like, if you were to sit and, like, for instance, I opened up a box, and it was a box of cards, and it was luminescent, you know, it had a sheen, it was shiny, okay, it was shiny, and the first thing I do is I say, shiny! No context, I don't tell them that the box is shiny, I don't say anything. I actually did this, because I was just so happy to open this package, and I knew what it was, and I was like, shiny! And I was happy about it. I'm like that, because, I don't mind being childish sometimes. I don't mind getting happy about little tiny things, because I can tell you when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to do that. Sometimes I wasn't allowed to get excited or get happy because I was either too loud or too quiet. There was never a balance. There was never just like, oh, you know what, you're just right. You're fine, you're doing okay. No, it was like, I think that you could do that better. It's not bad. It's just there's room for the improvement. And you might not want to wear that shirt because it accentuates. Yeah, it accentuates a lot. Okay, just saying, because you're not exactly small down, there, and it was just like, by the time I was adult, I thought something was seriously wrong with me, because I was told that I was, it wasn't never said, oh, you're not good enough. It was more just like, I think you could do better. And it was always, I had to do better, and I tried to do better, and I couldn't, because they didn't know what that bar was. They just kind of randomly put it someplace. They just said, okay, let's put it here. And I'm like, I can't reach it. Well, you're a failure. I'm like, oh, okay, great. That's fantastic. But yeah, I just don't think that we should judge people for what they believe or who they worship, because really that doesn't affect them unless they're trying to put hexes on you, or they're trying to pray that Satan comes upon, that destroys your life. I think you're going to be okay. I don't think Satanists put curses on people anyway. But the way it is just, witchcraft is really just rituals. It's just rituals that, just like any ritual, it's like when you wake up, have coffee, it works for you. Do you stop and think, why does it work? Should I not do this because so many other people aren't doing this, or maybe I should do this because people are doing it? It's never, when you sit there and you wake up and you drink your coffee, you're never thinking to yourself, is this wrong? No. It's nice to wake up. It's nice to get that little boost, that little flavor of coffee in the morning, and you're sitting there playing some games. It's cool. It's nice. You don't think to yourself, hey, could I change this? But there are people out there that want to take apart these rituals. The brushing the teeth, the eating, the doing whatever you're doing that you need to do to stay sane. And there's people that are questioning you and saying, you need to do this. You need to not drink coffee. You need to wake up in such a way. I mean, could you imagine somebody coming into your life and saying, okay, you can't drink coffee. Okay, first of all, that could start a war. That could start a fucking war. Don't do that. But you have to drink, and you have to drink low-fat creamer. Okay? Better get, you're gonna have tea, because tea is like so much better for you. It still has caffeine in it, and well, some of it does. And you're gonna have to do this. You have to do it this way. And if you don't, you're a horrible person, and God hates you. Oh, okay. So literally what they're doing is they're taking the same rituals, they're incorporating your way of waking up, your way of doing whatever you're doing, and then telling you, this is the way. This is the way. This is how you're supposed to do it. If you do it, if you deviate, that's why when I went to church, it felt like home, because I was already being micromanaged up the ass. I was already being micromanaged in every step that I took. So when I went to church, it was like, I'm home now. Oh, yeah, this feels familiar, and I don't know why. Oh, maybe it's because it reminds me of my abusive home that I have to get back to. Yes. Makes me all warm and fuzzy inside. I love the smell of abuse in the morning. Yes, that's wonderful. Oh, yes. Yes, of course I love God. I love my life. I hate everyone. No. No, I never hated no, I was never like that. I was never like, I hate everyone. It was more of, Yeah. And I think throughout my entire life, someone somewhere has misjudged me, you know, because they see me. Sometimes I don't smile, you know. I don't smile a lot, because, you know, I don't like, people wonder, they're like, why don't you smile more? You have a nice smile. Can you smile? Most of my childhood was me going, doing that. I looked like I was in pain. I looked like I was preparing to, I looked like I was preparing for, you know, someone to put, you know, in those movies where you have to put the thing in a splint and then you gotta pop it back in place. That's what I look like. I look like I was about to be prepared. I looked like I was preparing to put a bone back in place. I was just like, and then the rest of the time was just like, because I was not happy. I was not a happy individual. And people were just wondering, why did he smile more? Because I actually have to, in order for me to smile, a smile, my dear friend, I have to actually have something to smile about. I smile for a reason. I don't just smile because, okay, I'm gonna smile now. I have to have a reason to smile. I have to have a reason. I can't just be going around being fake. I'm not a fake person. You're gonna see what you want. If I look melancholy and I look depressed, I would rather be that than be depressed. I would rather look like a 4-hour depression nap than look like white Instagram girl. I'm so happy. I could kill everyone. I am not gonna be a Minnie Mouse. I am not gonna be super positive, because that's not. Am I an optimist? Yes. Am I a pessimist? Yes, also. And that is why I am a gray witch, because I see things in a positive light, but I also see things in a dark way. I realize that there is, beyond that rainbow, there are clouds. There are clouds, and the sun is being blocked out by those clouds. I understand this. But I also understand that darkness is not the evil thing that they portray it to be. Now, there are dark times in our life where we might be dark, but that's a little bit different. Darkness can be a very safe place, and it doesn't have to be a bad place. It can be a good place. And we are constantly fighting our darker nature, like, to the point where we sometimes cut off parts of ourselves that we shouldn't. For instance, there are things that we want to do. Like, there were things that I wanted to do. So many things. I wanted to be a paranormal investigator, but everybody told me, oh, you don't want to dedicate your whole entire life to that. I'm like, yeah, I do. No, like that you have to, you're going to be associating with demons and yeah, you're going to be like associating with demons and you could get hurt and you have to have a sort of mentality for that and what would God think? What would God think? Awesome! What did I do? I asked. I said, hey, God, what do you think about this? And you know what? I didn't hear any opposition. I didn't hear him say, oh, I'll get back to you on that one. Yeah, he didn't do that. I actually did a 1-card draw. I used this one. This tarot. This is the Lord of the Rings tarot deck. This was my first tarot deck that I had ever last year, and I used this, and it has given me some amazing readings. It has this nostalgia because it feels it like a virgin touched for the very first time here. Yeah, it's like the virgin experience here. So it's a very special deck, And I use it. I continue to use it, and I can't wait until somebody actually asks me to do it, because I do love tarot. But yeah, I did a one draw thing. I was like, hey, am I, and I usually don't do this because, you know, I don't want to put my faith too much in cards, because they're just cards. Cards are cards. And I didn't want to, because I was a little bit nervous. And so I did that. I did a one card draw, and this is what you do. If you want a yes or no question, this is kind of like a you know, magic ball approach. It's just like, you know, you pull out a card, and you're just like, you're gonna pull out a card, and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, oh wow, and you're like, and it will say something like yes or no. Sometimes you can actually go online and figure that out to see if it's a yes or no question. And you can do that. You can just get one card and ask a question. Say, I want to know. So I did that. I was like, am I going to be a paranormal investigator? And I kept doing it. I kept pulling card after card after card after card after card. And then after card. And I did it like 6 times. And it kept saying yes, yes, yes. And meanwhile, I had shuffled this deck too. I had freaking shuffled this deck. I had shuffled the shit out of this deck. I had made it. I had spread it all over the place. And cut it and did all of that, and I did it, and it still came out yes. So I was like, looks like I might be a paranormal investigator, or there might be a possibility. But also keep in mind, tarot does not give you like a specific time. It's not going to give you a specific time. That's kind of like expecting a Ouija board to tell the future. It's not. They're spirits, okay? The spirits in the spiritual realm, they don't know everything in the future, let alone your future. They might know about the end times and about what might happen at the end of the world, but they're not gonna sit there and tell you about that. Can you imagine you sitting there in a Ouija session and say, how does the world end? Oh, I would be no wonder no wonder that that glass moved. They were pissed off. They were just like, the fuck? You asking me what the future is? Okay, first of all, the sun. Oh, should I tell them that? Should I tell them? Yeah, don't put spirits on the spot like that, expecting them to know your future, because your future could change. I am open to the idea that there are things that are predestined, but I also am open to the idea that we do take charge of our destiny, and we do control the threads of fate, so to speak, because our decisions, and the way I see this is, I remember in Star Wars, I think it was Star Wars, I don't know which movie it was, but it was one of those prequels, you know, the ones with Obi-Wan, the young Obi-Wan, and great movies. I ought to see them again. But Anakin actually asked, he says, what's my future? You know, what's my future? And Yoda goes like this, yes, can't tell. Future is always changing. And I always internalized that, because I realized the future is just an unstable place. It really is. Like, we all tried to predict it in some way, and we've predicted certain aspects of it, but we've never really predicted certain events. Certainly. And I do believe that there's some truth to people that predict things. I mean, Revelation, that's kind of what that's about. If you know how to decipher it, yes. I'm not the person to do that. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard about prophecies from the Bible. I mean, I was part of a church that very heavily was involved with the prophecies of Revelation. You know, it was Daniel and Revelation. No, you probably could guess which church it is. Yeah. But yeah, and it was very interesting to see some of these things, these events play out. And these were things that were written, you know, thousands of years ago. But then also, you have to take in consideration, these could be very, you know, there's a lot of things that, you know, that have predicted the future. There's people that have predicted the future, but it gets a little iffy because, and the only thing that I avoid future reading and looking into the future is because, what if I see my future and I don't like it? Or what if what I'm seeing isn't really isn't really, you know, what if it's one of those things where it's like in Lord of the Rings, where Arwen says, I saw a child, and then the father, Elrond, says to Arwen, I saw that too, but there was very little of it left. Otherwise, the potential future. So they not only saw the future, they saw possible futures. Because if you can see the future, can you imagine what that would be like? That would mean that you knew all the possible outcomes. And that is way too much for us to know. So to know the future is really a little too much for any of us. I know a lot of us want to know, but really, if we were told, like for instance, if it's like in Big Fish, where you were told that you were going to die in a certain way, that could give you a lot of comfort. I mean, in Big Fish, take Edward Bloom, who goes through this magical journey. He finds out, it's a Tim Burton movie, it's amazing. I haven't seen it in such a long time, but I love it. So he goes through, you know, his life, because as a child, he looked into the eyeglass of an old witch, and it was said that if you look into her eye, you would see your future. You were going to see how you were going to die. And so Edward Bloom goes up to him and says, I guess I just want to know. I want to know my future. And so she pulls her eye patch off and shows, and he goes, so that's how I go. So consistently through the movie, he's saying, that's how I go. That's not how I go. Albert Finney keeps saying it. That's not how I go. And so, but it gave him a lot of bravery and courage, because he realized that we didn't know how he was going to die, but he knew. And kind of what happened is he had this courage, this unbreakable courage, that no matter where he was going to be okay, because he knew he was going to die probably in the very far future. And he was like, you know what, why should I fear this? Because I know that my life is predestined and it's going to be that way. But then again, if we saw something of the future, we might try to change it. And if that's the case, then everything is not predestined. So there's that conflict right there. So I don't really believe in the future readings, because it's very iffy, because tarot, for instance, just kind of shows you a possible outcome, not dates or times. And then, you know, there's other kind of divination. There's like mirror scrying, obviously, you know, looking into a mirror and meditating and looking into a mirror, or a crystal ball. I have a crystal ball, actually. It's a very beautiful crystal ball. It came with something. Well, but yeah. It was a family heirloom. I got it from Mercari. Please do not buy things on Mercari. They end up damaged. And if you're looking for haunted vessels, please, you know, just make your own, or buy one from Etsy. For instance, what I'm wearing right now is actually a haunted vessel. Well, it's not actually haunted. It's not haunted. It's just inhabited at the moment. by a rather interesting jinn. Yes. So this was from a witchy shop in I believe Norwich, England, somewhere in England. And in England, witchcraft is very much open. It's very much talked about. It's not shocking when now, unless the community is like really, really staunch or is like really closed off, usually you will find a witchery shop somewhere. And so this one deals with jewelry and spirits specifically, and I got this feeling from them that they were, the real deal. And I just remember seeing this on Etsy and being like, I cannot take my eyes off of it. Like, I know this is probably outside of my price range, but I checked my money. I was adulting, how it is, and I was like, you know what, I have some money for this. I think I should buy it. And it was the most expensive piece of jewelry that I ever bought in my life, and this is lapis lazuli, or lapis lazuli, and brass, or brass. It's brass. So it's encased in brass, and brass has a significance because it can protect, and it was believed in folklore that the jinn, could be encased in brass. But this particular jinn, and a jinn is an Iraq. If you're wondering what that is, genie is the American term, but jinn, on the other hand, is if you're wondering what Arabia is, that's Iraq and Iran. That was during the time where a lot of Muslims were really involved with mysticism. There are still sects to this day, certain tribes that are very into what would be known as witchcraft, and some of them have very heavy beliefs about jinn, and I have seen some footage of some jinn, and it's terrifying. I mean, I saw a man who was, I think, Turkish or something, and he had one of those names. He had like Muhammad, or it wasn't Muhammad, it was like Muhammad. Yeah, something like that. He had one of those, like, Mossad or something, something Middle Eastern. And he was a paranormal investigator, and he was shaking. He was shaking. You could tell this was real. It was paranormal footage, and it was just creepy, and it just went like this. And he saw a woman, and she had black hair. And he just kind of stood there, and then the woman, how do I put this? She leaned her head, like it looked like just a regular woman, in like an asylum gown, and the head went all the way around, not like Exorcist, but more like she was stretching all the way back, and it went like way too far, like farther than any human could probably go. And it was sitting there smiling upside down. It was like, hey, hi there, did you come to visit me? And he just said, I'm getting out of here, and he ran. And that was what he believed to be a jinn. So I think jinn is also not only significant in folklore, but it's also their way of saying that it's a demonic entity or something that is a demon. And so I see a jinn as being a type of demon, just in a different context, maybe. I do believe that jinn are probably just a classification of a kind of a demon, maybe. I'm not sure. I'll have to get back to you on that one. But yes, his name is Darius. He is a very, very powerful jinn. He has witnessed a lot of... I've had a couple sessions with him, like talking to him, and he's been a lot of places. He saw Jesus, apparently, when he was on Earth. He witnessed a lot of things. He actually claimed to say that he liked Jesus, which what I thought was weird. I was like, you're a demon. Why are you Oh. Oh, okay. So it's really it's very humbling to me, because I find that I am very humbled, because all the beliefs that I was told about demons is really just misinformation. I'm just gonna say, yes, there are demons that are out there that will hurt you, that will harm you and your family, and will go to great lengths to do so. But that is a certain agenda. There are some demons that do not have an agenda. Their agenda is literally just to chill out. Chill the fuck down is what they want to do. They don't want to have to deal with drama. They don't want to have to deal with, next month's, last month's shooting. They don't want to have to deal with that. That wasn't, we always try to explain things, like the evil things that people do, the politics, the religion, the violence, everything, and we try to blame it on things that we can't see, when we really don't know what's going on in the spirit realm. And I remember someone posted on one of the paranormal groups, and on Facebook they said, I wish people would stop preaching to other people about how you shouldn't, interact with demons if you've never actually encountered them. I have encountered them, and I have encountered some that have terrified me. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. There's been times that there was a time where I went to someone's house. It's a friend of a friend, and I've been there many times. But it was then that I remember just feeling a shadow there. I couldn't see the shadow, but in my mind's eye, I could see a shadow. It did not have a face. I asked, I said, who are you? I asked, because I was like, who are you? It wasn't very clear, and I asked the entity to repeat itself, and when it did, it screamed that name at me. And I felt like someone had actually screamed it into my ear, like my ear was aching. And mind you, I don't hear things like hear them, like whatever. It's more of a psychological, subconscious thing that I have, that I can hear spirits and see them. It's an imaging. But instead of, it just kind of pops into your head too. It's not like, and when I focus, I can see it. Now I know what's really going on. Like, in reality, yeah, there's probably nothing there because nobody can see it, right? But so here is what my eyes are seeing. My eyes are seeing just empty space, probably a curtain, maybe something else, a dog, I don't know. But my mind sees something different. So it's not like I'm schizophrenic and going, oh, there's something in the bathroom and it has arms and legs coming out of its mouth. I don't think that's real, is it? Felt real, but I don't think so. So yes, I can turn it on and off if I needed to. Sometimes when I'm tired, it gets a little weird. It gets just a little weird. But, yeah. But all I remember feeling is that this was a demonic entity. This was a demon. And I did not feel like the amount of energy that was coming from him was not good. I felt very unsafe. I felt exposed. I felt like someone had taken off my clothing or something. Like, I felt like I was not safe. I felt myself actually silently praying, because I was just like, please protect me, like, just protect me, please, God. And I was terrified. But I said, look, I said to this entity, I said, look, I don't mean you any harm. Please don't harm me. I'm not here to make waves. I respect you, and I respect your boundaries. Please respect mine. And the only thing I could feel was like I felt like somebody was just going, huh, you know, like, I'm not going to do that. Do you think I'm going to do that? Do you think I'm going to respect you? Was that emotion? Because spirits communicate through energy. And so sometimes I have seen people that will, you know, they'll start getting nauseous when they're around something like a painting or an object or a room or a certain place that they are, and they think that it's bad. They're like, oh, I'm getting bad vibes, bad vibes. Now, normally if it's from a person and you're getting bad vibes, it's probably good to trust it. But sometimes when you feel that something is bad, it's just because it's overwhelming. And when spirits greet you, sometimes what they'll do, so for instance, when you see someone and someone says, hi, nice to meet you, you shake your hand. Now, a spirit can't exactly do that, because it's kind of, you know, they might go through you, and that might be kind of weird, and they don't want to freak you out more. So kind of what they're going to do, their version of a handshake is to, you know, throw apprehension at you, or throw whatever they're feeling at the time. And so they'll give you a big wave of whatever it is, an emotion, usually. And it will be very overwhelming, and you're like, okay, what did you do? That is their way of a handshake. Now, they may do other things, like you may touch, like I have had many experiences where I have felt someone touching my head or my face. And it's usually, it feels like it's, it usually feels like a warm touch, because it's a good spirit usually. And there's a feeling of love that's usually behind it. And really, if you ever encounter a spirit, I'm just going to recommend, and you feel something that's very overwhelming, take a deep breath, and state very clearly, that is kind of overwhelming. I'm overwhelmed. Or be honest, because very often I have encountered this with demons numerous times, is that when you tell them, hey, you know what, I'm feeling kind of nervous, I'm feeling apprehensive, I don't know what to expect. And normally what they'll do is they'll say, you know, because whether it's an angel, a demon, an elemental, a fae, whatever magical creature you think that is out there, they're gonna know if you're lying about something. So if you come in and you're like, you know, trying to pretend that you are not scared, they're not going to appreciate that, because they see that as you trying to hide something from them. They are going to see beyond what your face tells you, beyond what your body language says. Your body language says, I'm the shit. However, what they see is, that's what they see. They see that, and they feel it. They know it. They can look into, they see your aura. They know what's going on. Can they read your mind? Nah, not necessarily. I don't believe that spirits can read your mind unless you allow them to, and I am not comfortable with that. I invoke spirits, but I have not done that. I don't like to have the spirits reading my mind, but they are very much like a Betazoid or like a Deanna Troi, where they're empaths. They understand. And so also when you come into a room and you, let's say you come in and you're really apprehensive, sometimes as a greeting they'll think they don't understand. Some spirits are very innocent, and they'll get very excited. So if this is like a child, for instance, if this is a child, that's childlike spirit, or a spirit of someone that, like, maybe the child died at some point and they never really grew up, they may get really excited. So when you come into a room and you're a little bit apprehensive, they may take that as excitement. And they're like, oh, are you excited? I'm excited too, yeah. So it's kind of like a dog. When a dog sees you screaming and yelling, it's like, You're excited. I'm excited. Let me tell you how excited I am to see you. Oh my gosh, I haven't had visitors so long, and I had nobody to play with, and now you're here. And oh, the things that we can do together. So sometimes they get very excited and they're not aware that they're overwhelming you. So it's really important, if you're feeling overwhelmed, tell them, just let them know, because they don't know. They can't always read your mind, okay? If you haven't given them permission to read your mind, then they don't. And some of them are not always experienced in detecting emotions. Now, there's some that instinctually will know. Like, it's been kind of uncanny where spirit will just say, oh yeah, so you're feeling this, and they'll know. But a lot of people take this negatively because they are overwhelmed, and when you're in a group experience with other people, that's amplified. Your fear is amplified. A lot of sensations are heightened. You may fear things that you probably wouldn't on a regular basis, because maybe you're in the dark, maybe there's only a candle, and you're with some friends, and you know, or you're hunting ghosts or playing with Ouija boards or something, and you don't know what to expect. And it's exciting, but it's also terrifying. So you're kind of on the edge of your seat. You're kind of just like, you're in a horror movie, essentially. And that's one of the reasons I don't appreciate horror games all that much. I love horror movies, but horror games, on the other hand, it's like you are in one. And I was like, I don't think I want that. No. So there's definitely that aspect of spirits that people don't see. And spirits, another thing is, you know, I get tired of people coming in. Like, I do get a little bit tired of when people, you know, I'll make a post or make a comment on a post, and somebody will be like, well, you know, demons can lie. Well, you know, any spirit can lie to you, okay? Some of them used to be people, and some of them don't have the same morality that we do, okay? They're spirits. Some of them may not have ever been human, so how are you supposed to explain that to them about lying? So, for instance, I've had actual angels keep things from me, and I would say, hey, why didn't you tell me? Well, you weren't ready for that. That was not your truth, and we did not want to hurt you. We were trying to help you, and we knew we were waiting for the certain time to tell you that this was possible. You weren't ready for that now, but now you're ready. So to them, it's just keeping back information. It doesn't seem lying. Now, in our society, keeping information from someone is lying. But in their perspective, they see it as, I'm trying to protect someone. Because often when someone is given a, for instance, they're given a certain, yeah, lost my train of thought there. But yeah. What was I talking about? It's a good question. I think maybe I should probably, if I'm losing my train of thought, that is a sign I'm mentally exhausted. But yeah, I just don't think that it's just so many people, they come on there and they say, you know, things like, you know, demons are evil, demons are bad, you can't contact the dead, God doesn't want you to do this, and I'm like, oh, yeah, so it says like one time in the Bible that you shouldn't do that. Okay, yeah. So, I'm just wondering, if you read something in the newspaper, do you think that's automatically true? When you read something, when you watch something on TV, do you think that's accurate? No. because they're made by humans. Humans make mistakes. And the Bible, in case you're wondering, I'm not bashing the Bible. I love the Bible because it's like an epic fantasy. It's like an epic fantasy. I love it. I mean, Moses is doing some airbender shit with a staff, and he's going around like Merlin, and he's healing people. There's a snake on his staff, and then he goes to the palace, and like a badass, and decides to, like, he gets his snake, and his snake eats the other snakes, and he's just like, yeah, my magic's better. Yeah. I kick ass for the Lord. It's like, okay, yes. He had power. He had actual power. Okay? Like, when I watched The Prince of Egypt, I realized that. I was like, wow, wouldn't that be awesome if we could do that? We could just, like, raise a staff and then just be like, I'm walking on dry land now. That would be awesome. But, so, kind of the way, language works. This is how language works. So, you get the original language, and it deviates to another language, and then it deviates to another language. And when you do that 14 times and then try to put it into your language, it's going to come out as being very unclear, vague, and maybe just nonsensical. The reason I know this is because I've been following a beautiful young woman named Melinda. Her site used to be, her YouTube channel used to be called Google Translate Fails, but it turned into Twisted Translations. You know, she changed the name. It's the same channel. And Melinda is an accomplished singer. She's beautiful. I adore her. And she explained, she said, is Google Translate as bad? It says, no, it's very accurate, but you have to know how to use it, and languages have limits. Okay, so how many languages has the Bible been translated into? Too many, like 250 of them. And do you think that it's gonna come out clear? No, because I really urge you to go and see Twisted Translations. Just type that in to the bar up above and just be like, okay, Twisted Translations, and it will show you these songs, and she's assembling IKEA furniture after translating it into so many different languages, and it's just like, Satan, take me to the pasta, I feel it in my bowels, and just really random things, because it just doesn't make sense, and that's what makes it funny. But what she also demonstrated was that Google Translate's great. I was using it incorrectly to be funny. And that's what I'm doing. So Google Translate is reliable. Languages are reliable, but they have limits. And when you try to translate anything, I mean, just take, for instance, if you were to translate, that's what happens when a word comes to, so for instance, if I wanted to tell you about bread, how would I describe that? What if you have never seen bread? What if you've never heard of it, never tasted it? Well, maybe your version of bread would be a tortilla, or it would be some sort of weird bun. You know, I don't know. So I would have to say, God, give us our daily tortilla. Okay, well, what if you don't have a concept of God? Well, I'm going to have to substitute that word for something else. And as you go deeper into it, translating languages, it gets more and more complicated. And what you're doing is you're going towards a vein that necessarily isn't supposed to be delved into. That's not a stream you want to get caught in, because as you go down this Thames, so to speak, this river, you're going to find that language is just falling apart as you speak. It's just, it's falling apart, it's turning to shit, because somehow your tortilla turned into a pretzel. And and so now you're saying things like, "Oh Baphomet, give us our subsidiary, our residuary pretzel. And then you're just like, I don't think that worked. But people quote the Bible like that's the truth. There's no other deviation. When really there has been so much deviation to come up with those words, because some of these words did not exist. There's some words in languages that don't exist. Seriously. Like in Iceland, there's not a word for please. So when someone says there's no please, excuse me, it's just there's also not a word for excuse me. You can't say please, excuse me. Those are two words that are not in the Icelandic language at all. And so they will now they have thank you. Yes, of course they do, but they don't have excuse me, may I please go there. What you say is I need to go there. Can I go there? Can you move? Is probably would be a direct way. They would probably say something like, I need to get to that shelf. Can you please move? Or can I well, of course you wouldn't say please. You would just say, I need to go there. Move. Just move. Move. And since Iceland is a combination of 3 different languages, Finnish, German, and Norwegian, which makes it very complicated. In fact, it's one of the hardest languages in the world. It's much better if you live there and immerse yourself in it. But some of the people that speak it have trouble actually pronouncing the words, because it's a lot of consonants. It's a lot of it's really a lot of consonants, and it doesn't sound pretty exactly. But if you find beauty in German, then it's probably a good one. There's a lot of for instance, there is a lot of similarities to German. It seems to really like, I took an interest in Icelandic, so yeah. I took an interest in it for a time, and it was interesting. So definitely something to look into. But yes, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope that you join me